hello everyone. I hope you all are able to understand whatever I have taught till now in my previous videos. In my last video, I have discussed about hardware, and today we are going to begin with the software. You all know that hardware and software both are interdependent upon each other. You cannot work on your software without your hardware, and if you have hardware without software, that would be totally useless. So today we will discuss what software is, what are its different types, and how it can help you in your day-to-day life. We have, if you see, two types of software. First we will see what software are. Software, in very easy language, if we say, it is that part of computer which we cannot touch. We can work on it, we cannot see. Even if your software is in the CD or in the pen drive, you can see the hardware device, you cannot see the software. Yes, of course, when you are working on the computer, when you are using the software, at that time you can see what all things computer or software consist of, right? So software is basically general instructions. Why I am using here general word? Whatever the instructions you are giving to the computer, that computer understands. Simply in this way only, when you give instructions to a particular software to perform some basic operation, that instructions for that particular software will be general instructions only. The way you are giving instructions to the MS Word cut, copy and paste feature. There you have given the instruction that when you choose the cut option, your text should be cut, and when you copy, it should be copy, and when you want to use it somewhere else, you can choose the paste option. So this is just a simple example how our software works. Each and every instructions are fed behind these options. When you are using copy, paste, undo, redo, open any file, save any file, how all these instructions are working by just a simple click of yours, because all the instructions are pre-written behind these buttons. That's why you are able to use all these things. So you can say software are the simple instructions given to the computer, which you are giving whenever you are using any particular kind of software. So that is software. Now in software we have two kinds of software. First one is the system software and second one is the application software. System software are those software without which you cannot run your system. Remember, your system will not run if you don't have system software. First example is operating system. You all know example of operating system: MS Windows, Unix, Linux. Can you imagine you are going to a shop purchasing a new laptop or a computer, and person is telling you like this is your 65,000 or 70,000 laptop and it is without operating system. Are you going to purchase it? No. Why? Because that is merely a hardware device which you can keep on your table as a showcase, nothing more than that. So you should have system software at least to perform the basic functioning in your computer. So operating system, we all know the example, what different operating system examples are. But if I'll ask you what is operating system, you might need to scratch your head before giving me an answer. Okay, so just understand this. Suppose this is your operating system. This is your operating system, right? Here you will have your hardware, the part which you can touch, which you can use. Okay, then here we have our application software. Now what is application software? I'll come to this part as well. Now when you are using hardware, at that time you are a user. Why? Because user is using the hardware. So this user, though you want to access the software, but how you can access? With the help of application software. You cannot use your operating system directly. In the previous video also I explained you about the booting process. When you switch on your computer button, at that time some of the files get shifted into the RAM of your memory. RAM or ROM? It goes to the ROM of your memory, and then ROM transfer those files to your RAM. Okay, so operating system resides in ROM and your application software resides in RAM. And being a user, with the use of hardware, you are able to interact with your operating system. So you can simply say that operating system is an interface which helps you to interact with your hardware as well as software. Now here, if I am talking about software, that could be the application software. I'll come to that application software also, what exactly it is. But first we will see what is system software. So first bifurcation, if we see, that is operating system which help you as a user to interact with it, with your computer, with your system. Without operating system, you cannot operate it at all. Second bifurcation, if you see, that is language processor. Now, what is language processor? Suppose you know only English language, you cannot speak any other language, and your another friend knows, maybe like you people get friendly on the social networking site, and now if that particular friend is coming to meet you, that friend knows only French, and now you two want to interact. How you interact? In your very simple language. Now you know English and he knows only French. So the basic one and only way to interact with each other, I know that you people are very smart, you are going to give an answer that you can use Google Translate. Later, with the help of which you can interact with each other. This is the one of the latest example. But if we'll see the technical terms which you have, like maybe you might have studied till now, you have heard about translators or interpreters. Translators or interpreters are just like a person who knows both the languages, English as well as French. So he knows both the language. Whatever you are going to speak, that person is going to translate that English language to your French friend, and whatever the language he knows, like French, he knows whatever the things he'll speak in French, that language, that particular words or that particular the things he want to say you, that he'll translate to you in English, right? So that is the work of translator or interpreter, or you can say that nowadays we have that Google Translator, right? But as I told you in the previous video, that computer understands only the language of 0 and 1, right? But here we have three things, that is assembler, interpreter and compiler. Now students, listen it very carefully. I told you in my previous video that whatever the like when you switch on your system, at that time all your operating system files, the language, machine language, that gets uploaded into your computer, right? So assembler, what it is going to do, it is going to simply convert that machine language to the computer understandable language. Okay, assembler is going to convert that operating system machine language into human understandable language. That much only assembler is going to do. Next is interpreter. We all know that we cannot understand machine language, so assembler will convert that language to our computer language. Second is interpreter. Interpreter, as I have given you the example, it is going to convert whatever the things we are writing in simple English language, and then it should be converted into the form of zeros and one. So how computer or interpreter is going to do that? Suppose you are writing something, suppose you have written if a greater than 0. Now this is simple English language. What interpreter will do, when you have typed this, the moment you are going to come to this line, suppose you have to write this much only and then you are pressing the enter key, your cursor will come to the next line. At that time only interpreter will check whether this particular line is correct or not. It will interpret, it is going to convert it, as well as it will check if there is any error. You are not able to move to the next line, then and there only there will be a red line which shows that this is the error, so you cannot move further because this particular line consists of an error. So this is the work of the interpreter. It is going to check each and every line. That's why interpreter are called, that they are checking your line by line. Each and every error will be checked line by line with the help of interpreter. So interpreter is checking your program line by line while creating your programs only. Next is compiler. What compiler is going to do? Compiler is going to check your program at the end, at the time of execution. You have prepared, you have written each and everything. When you will run your program, at that time it will gives you the long list of errors. Like in a particular line there is an error. I'll show you how. Suppose you have written if a greater than 0, you'll press the enter key and then you'll come to, like, if a greater than 0, then print hello. Okay, like this you will write, and now there is no error. You are able to type everything you have done. Now when you will execute your program, execute means when you are going to run your program, at that time it will give error that there is error in line number 1 and maybe column number, whatever the column number is, that particular column number will appear. So compiler will check your program at the time of execution. Then again you have to go to the coding part of your program, and there you have to rectify all the errors. Then again you will run your program. If it is correct, you will get your output. Otherwise, again it will give you the list of errors which you have to remove before the execution of the program. So remember student, these are the 3 kinds of language processor. It will simply translate your operating system machine language. This is going to check line by line. Remember, this particular word is very important, line by line. It is going to check your errors line by line. One line will be checked at the time of creation of program, whereas it will check at once at the time of execution. Execution means running of your program. So this is the work of language processor, that is assembler, interpreter and compiler. Now if we'll see the next bifurcation of software, that is application software. Application softwares are those software which is after operating system, like those software which helps you to run your any particular application. In that particular application you are only allowed to do that work, nothing more than that. They cannot do anything else. For example, in MS Word, if you want lot of pictures, you want that your pictures should come from this side and then it goes that side, you might be thinking that it is not possible in Word. That you can only do in PowerPoint, right? If I'll ask you to do all sort of calculations in Word, you say no, it's not possible in Word. You have to go for Excel for that particular work. So each and every software which is meant for some specific purpose, that is called application software. Basically, if you'll see, first is the package. Package means like MS Office, Open Office, or we have other different kind of packages which is available in the market for different kind of work. So packages which is meant basically for some particular purpose, we can use it. Like I have given you the example of Word, Excel and PowerPoint. They are the part of our operating system. They are very much in use in our day-to-day life, but they are able to do, they all have their own specialty. Like when you have lot of text, you will go for MS Word. When you have lot of calculation, you will go for Excel. And when you know that you want to use a lot of picture with different kind of effects, you will go for PowerPoint. Now next come to utilities. Utilities are basically going to do housekeeping function. Remember this word students, housekeeping functions. Now you might have heard this housekeeping function whenever you are going on holidays with your parents, when you stay in hotel, when you go somewhere else, at that time you are staying in hotel, then you may find that housekeeping staff. What basically that housekeeping staff is doing, they are keeping, like they are cleaning your room, they are just bringing the stuff which you have ordered, or other whatever the facilities or services you want from that hotel, that they are going to do. Now this utilities are going to do some specific housekeeping functions of your computer. You know that you need to do many things except creation or except using computer, you are doing so many other things in your computer for which you need all these utilities. So our first utility program is text editor. You all have done HTML, and where you were doing it in text editor, WordPad, Notepad, these all are text editor. This is basically a text editor where you can write text, but when you need it, like in HTML, you need one text editor, you used Notepad so that you can create a particular file without having any particular software. You don't have any specific software for HTML, right? But you used Notepad so that you can create your HTML files. Next is backup utilities. Backup means, you all know what backup is. Backup means when you are keeping second copy of your software, so that if your main system like gets damaged, or if any virus attack it, or if your system crash, in that case you can use that second copy. Suppose I have given you a project and many times you have made this excuse that because of like my system suddenly gets stopped working, so I'm not able to bring it. But these all are excuses. I always tell you to keep the second copy. Whenever you are making anything important, you made it, save it in your system and keep its second copy in your pen drive, so that if your pen drive gets destroyed, lost, anything, you can have its second copy, or you can say first copy in the computer. If your computer gets crashed because of any reason, at that time you have the same data in your pen drive. I always say that make 2 copies, but you can have 3, 4, whatever the number of copies you want. Whatever your reasonable or the very good storage device, secondary storage device you have, store your data in that as a second copy. So that means taking backup, keeping the second copy of the original one, so that in case of emergency you can use it. So that is your backup utility. Next is compression utility. Compression utility also you all know, when you compress your data. Why you need to compress your data? Maybe you have a pen drive of 2 GB, but your data is of 3 GB. Are you able to store it? No. But you don't have any other option. You don't have any other device where you can save your 3 GB data, and you have to save it. You have to show it to your boss, you have to show it to your teacher. Any emergency it could be. So you have only 2 GB of pen drive and your data is 3 GB. So what you can do, you can compress your data. I hope you all have heard about RAR files. You all have heard about compressed files. What are these files? These files are those when you compress it. Just here I'll give you a relevant example with which you can easily relate yourself. When you are going for a vacation, like summer vacation, all of you are going to your maybe your grandmother's house or your uncle's house, right? So your mother is just packing your stuff, or maybe you are packing your stuff. You are not able, your suitcase is not big enough to keep all the stuff, right? You are not able to close your suitcase. What you'll do, you'll make your younger brother or sister to sit on that suitcase, and then immediately you will just zip your suitcase or whatever the lock system is, right? This only you are going to do. So basically compression utility, what it will do, it will compress your data. When your younger brother or sister sits on that suitcase, what it does, it just put the pressure on the suitcase so that you can close it. Similarly, when you have small device means whose capacity is less but your data is large, you will compress your data and that data should fit in that device. And when again you will copy, remember students, when you compress your data, when it again you copy it on a computer, at that time again you should uncompress it, right? Your zip files, your RAR files, it should be uncompressed, so that like compressed data never be in the original form. So you have to again unzip it, again uncompress your data so that you can have your original files. Okay, so this is your compression utility. Next is disk defragmenter. In my previous video I explained about disk defragmenter. I told you that whenever you are saving your data, it gets save in the form of contiguous block, and when you save it, if you are deleting, this is suppose your data, if you are deleting this particular place is vacant. Now if this place is vacant, then where your next data will go? It will go in the continuous block only, but that particular space is vacant. So this is how it will be filled. This is filled, this is deleted, this is vacant, but your data is going to save in this block only. Then in this case, what two colors you will get? Pink and blue. So when you will run your disk defragmenter tool, you will get all these options in system tools. System tools option which you get in your accessories. Start button, all programs, then your accessories, you will get all these options there. Okay, so when you will run your disk defragmenter, your filled space will be at one side and your unfilled space, your vacant space will be at one side, again with that two colors. So this is the work of disk defragmenter. Now next is antivirus software. This is very common, you all know. What antivirus software is going to do? It is going to detect the virus which comes to your system, maybe when you were using internet, maybe you have used infected CD, DVD, pen drive or any other thing. It is going to scan, it is going to check if there is any kind of threat, any kind of virus, malware, Trojan horse. It is going to check, try to delete it and make your system clean. If it is not able to delete, then it will give you the message that I am not that much strong that I can delete a Trojan horse or I can delete this particular malware or spyware. So you need to use any strong firewall or something like that with the help of which you can delete. So antivirus software is going to scan your system and whatever the virus it is going to have, that it will delete. Okay. Now next is customized software. In application software we did packages, then utilities, and now this third one is customized software or developer tools. All together if you see, this is called business software. Now what is business software? Maybe in your office your mother or father, or maybe if they are doing business in their shop or in their factory, what they have computers. I told you everywhere nowadays we are using computers, so they must have computer at their workplace. In their software they don't have any particular game. They don't have the softwares the way you have in your system or in your mobile. They have only that software which is going to help them in their office work. Like when you go to railway station, you will never find that particular person. Maybe that person is sitting free, but then also you will not find that person playing Ludo. You will not find that person listening to the songs or maybe doing something else. You will always find that particular screen is open where he has to fill the details, that you have to travel from to and from and particular date and passenger details. Why? Because in that system only one software is installed which is required in the railway station. Similarly, your parents, wherever they are working, in their system they have only that software which helps in their daily office work. Just ask your parents, they may have such kind of things. So this is your that's why it is called customized. Customized mean one more example I would like to give here about the tailor. This will be best suited to the girls. You want a perfect dress. You might have seen some dress in television or in any movie and you want that particular dress. What you will do? You will go to tailor. First you purchase the fabric and then you will go to tailor and you will show that I want this type of dress. What it will do? You have the fabric. It will cut and customize according to the way you want it. So that's why even these customized software are called tailor-made software. Tailor-made means which tailor is cutting and according to your need, it is going to prepare that particular stuff. So these are called customized because they are specially developed. That's why they are called business software, because for some specific purpose we are customizing, we are using a particular software, particular platform, and in that we are making a software which is required by some specific, maybe some specific company, maybe some specific office, maybe for your business. or it could be anything. So that is your customized software and developer tools. So you can simply say, students, so customized or developer tools are those which tailor-made, which you cut according to your specific need, because whatever the ready-made softwares are in the market, that may not suit to your kind of work. So what you'll do, you'll make changes, you'll ask the software developer to make changes in that according to your requirement, so that your all the necessities of business should be fulfilled. Okay. Next is software library. Software library means, in the beginning only I explain you about that there are some predefined instructions given to a particular option. According to that only that particular option is working, right? So in every software there are some libraries which have some predefined functions. Predefined function means which that particular option knows that whenever this option will be pressed, this option will be chosen, at that time I should perform this or whatever the function assigned to it. So we have different kind of libraries: NumPy, SkyPy and Panda library. These all libraries are related to your first open that front end software, that is your Python software. So these are the libraries which is available in the Python. I'll explain all these things when we will start Python software.